Hello, my name's Peter McColl, and I'm really delighted to be here and speaking to you at this event. It's, I think, one of really great importance, and I'd just really like to thank the organisers for pulling it together. I know that when they started thinking about this, COVID-19 was a virus that was about the third item on the news. Now it's the only thing we talk about. I think it gives us a really important example of exactly where universities, where research, where science, where social science, and where the contribution of research and knowledge can sit at the very front of where it is we're going as a society. But I think there are some other broader comments I wanted to make around the future of higher education. So the first thing I wanted to say is that it's become really clear over the last 5 or 10 years that there are a number of grand challenges, a number of missions that we as a society want to take on. And if you want to look at the work of Mariana Mazzucato or the report prepared by Anton Muscatelli, these are really great places to see exactly how a mission-orientated approach can work in universities and in higher education, and to link up universities, higher education, and broader society, business, and so on. I think that's one really interesting thing we need to look at, which is how is it that our universities can be orientated towards the challenges of our society today. The second thing I wanted to look at was something around the organisational models that our universities deploy. And I think there's a really interesting set of theoretical observations here. The university looks very much like the vertically integrated corporation that you might have seen in the 1970s. It's led from the top down. There's a lot of restriction on the way in which staff are able to work. When we look at the largest companies, the most successful companies in the world today, those are very often focused not on decision making from the top down, but on allowing people's ingenuity, allowing their creativity to be maximised against those challenges that I've talked about earlier. And I think that's something that we really need to look at, not because I think universities need to become more like businesses, but because I think these are the organisational models that best liberate the human potential for ingenuity, for creativity, and for problem solving. And that's what universities should be about. So we need to look at the ways in which we can move from a new public management paradigm within universities to a paradigm that releases staff, that releases students to pursue those grand challenges, to explain them to the public, to explain them to their students, and to engage everybody in a process where we work together towards addressing those problems and creating solutions that have widespread buy-in. And I wanted to talk then about another set of changes in the world. When I went to university in the late 1990s, one of the greatest things I got access to was a university library. And I now realise that a university library to a student arriving at university looks like a more difficult to use version of Google. It's not something that opens their horizons in the same way as it did for me. Now, that's partly because we need to move those students into the place where they can use those libraries, but it's also because students have become more used to a world that is experiential rather than one that's based on the purchase of knowledge and information. So the example I always use is that my first record cost about the same as my first concert ticket. Now, if I want to listen to new music, it comes almost free, but if I want to go to a concert, it'll cost me about £100. So the concert has become 10 times more expensive. The music is now free. And that's where I think a lot of our students are. So I think we need to re-engage them in a process that gives real value in the act of being a student. And we also need to broaden that out so that we're embracing more people and bringing more people into that process, so that we have a society that begins to really value knowledge in the way that we so desperately need it to. The antidote to some of the great problems of our time, the problems like fake news, the problems like growing chauvinism, are in giving people more knowledge, more information, and more skills to make decisions, and then allowing them to do that. And universities have to be right at the heart of that. And that's where I think I would like to see some contributions and some direction coming, because I think if we don't do that, we have a real problem in the future, both for our universities, but perhaps more importantly for the world at large. Thank you.